When it comes to handhelds, there are many different sizes you can choose from. Some as big as 8 inches, 11 inches, some as small as 2 inches. So today I'm going to talk about my favorite handhelds at various sizes starting with 8 inch. This is by no means organized by like most powerful. This is what Old Dead Fred prefers as far as each handheld at different sizes. And I understand that I am very fortunate to be able to explore many of these handhelds, so I have some exposure that most don't. And it may be very confusing to figure out what handheld you should get, ranging from something that's couch friendly all the way to like it's in my pocket and I can pull it out anywhere. So, we're going to take a look and explore what I have found over time to be my favorite handheld at every size, regardless of power. It is a combination of form factor, how it feels, what the screen looks like, how it feels to hold, as well as power. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. But let's dive in and take a look and start the discussion on what Old Dead Fred finds are his favorite handhelds for every size, starting at the 8 inch size. So we'll start with the 8 inch. And for the 8 inch, there is a lot of PC competition here and not really a whole lot of Android, although we did have that TJD debacle. But my pick for my favorite 8 inch handheld is the Lenovo Legion Go S. Now, while that has definitely not the most power, it does have a super comfortable form factor at a very attractive price, especially in a time where handhelds are just going up in price over and over again. It has a beautiful screen, a great build quality, and it plays pretty much everything that I would want from a retro perspective. As far as newer gaming, it will have some limitations since, of course, the CPU in it is not quite as strong. But if you're looking for something that is in Steam Deck performance level, you'll be just fine. Now, let's move on to 7 inch. The 7 inch is a very crowded area. We have some great competition there and different mini handhelds that you could choose from. While many would pick the Odin Portal to be that champ, I'm actually going with the Mangmi Pocket Max. The few reasons for that are one, I am a sucker for micro switches, and it also has a very comfortable form factor that does not need a grip. Its build quality is excellent, and the screen is just simply gorgeous. It's probably the same or very similar screen, but for some reason, to my eyes, it looks just a little bit better than the Odin Portal. Now, the Odin Portal is fantastic, but again, I'm picking the Mangmi Pocket Max, despite the fact that it only has the Snapdragon 865, as far as what I would choose for my overall 7 inch handheld. It is a beast for streaming, which means if you have a high end PC, you can stream pretty much anything to it at a very good level. And as native gameplay, I'm playing some of the secret console on it just fine. Let's move on to number 6. And this is where things get really interesting because we have a ton of competition, including the mighty Odin 3. And while I love my Odin 3 and there's a lot of competition here, I ultimately chose the Conquer Pocket Fit G3 Gen 3 as my favorite 6 inch handheld. This handheld is very frustrating because the company that sells it has not made a very good reputation with being able to sell it or produce it. And unfortunately, there has been a lot of issues overall. But ignoring that and looking at simply the handheld, it is a super comfortable handheld. I find myself returning back to that handheld over and over again because one, the CPU and GPU is probably at this moment in early 2026 the best combination right now. While driver support has improved for the Snapdragon Elite, the G3 Gen 3 to my taste has Simply just great power. It works, it sips battery, and it has got a lot of support in the driver community. And even though it's an LCD screen, my God, it has a beautiful screen. I hope the company can improve their processes and get this in more people's hands, because it is simply a beautiful, comfortable device that has a lot of features I like, including the ability to change your shoulders with the switch, which is something that Odin 3 does not have. After this break, we'll talk about the next set of handhelds and why I like them. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, AliExpress, and their huge sale that is starting this month on the 16th, their anniversary sale. That's right, AliExpress is celebrating with a huge sale. And one of the products that you can pick up at a great price is this. Yes, Anbernic's new controller. We've been using this controller and testing it out. And yes, it's a crazy one that has the heartbeat sensor and it has the screen on it, but it's got great micro switches. It comes in an awesome color like this yellow, and it just hooks up and works. I was able to use the dongle to have it connect really quickly. I also tested it with Bluetooth. You can use it on a variety of items, and like Anbernic usual quality, it's really well made. Make sure you hit the links in the description below so you can save with the codes of the biggest sales of the year. We'd like to thank AliExpress for as always being our partner in this channel. Check it out, guys. Anyways, back to the show. Now, moving over to the more mid-sized of handhelds, the 5.5-inch is dominated by the Retroid lineup, with many offerings from the Retroid Pocket 5 to the Flip 2 to the mighty Retroid Pocket 6. Now, for me, this is a pretty much no-brainer. Retroid owns the space. If you want a 5.5-inch handheld, there is in my mind no better handheld to buy than the Retroid lineup. And out of those different choices, there are many good ones, but ultimately I settled on the Retroid Pocket 6. It comes in some beautiful colors. It has that 120 hertz refresh rate with that beautiful OLED screen, and it's sporting the mighty Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which gives it a lot of ability to play just about anything you want to throw at it. It is an overall beautiful build quality, a form factor that's comfortable, and yes, it may benefit from a grip, but even without the grip, it feels pretty good in the hands. There are a lot of non-Retroid handhelds that are in this sort of vein. One of the most popular from a few years ago, the Powkiddy X55, is probably still a good choice for some people who want to tinker with Linux. And if you're talking Android versus Linux, there are some other options here. But ultimately, I went with the Retroid Pocket 6 just due to the fact that it's overall game winning. Now, moving down half an inch to the 5-inch area, I went with the Game MT EX8. Now, while that's 4.88 inches, it's just close enough. And the fact that it has this gorgeous 3:2 screen that is beautiful for Game Boy Advance, as well as very fitting for other ratios, makes it a wonderful item. Now, it does have a little bit of a weird shape to it, which I think is a tribute to the Game Boy Advance, but sporting the Helio G99, it can play pretty good range of items, including some PS2 and GameCube, depending on it. But it really shines when you put it through the retro paces and put Game Boy Advance on it, making it my favorite device to play Game Boy Advance on with the huge, big, bright screen. It's the best product that Game MT has released yet, and it's my favorite pick at the 5 inches. Going down a half a notch, and we run into that 4.5 to 4.7 inch range, and I got to go with Anbernic here. They're the only company that has created a specific screen for gamers that are 4:3, including a 4.7 inch 120 hertz IPS screen that is simply gorgeous. It is a beautiful, gorgeous screen. We've seen it first on the Anbernic slide, but my pick is the RG477V. It might surprise some of you long-term viewers since I love metal, and yes, the 477M is a great device. However, the 477V is just something about it. That horizontal, vertical handheld, holding it in a Game Boy, just makes it great. It is beautiful, gorgeous for PS2. It's got the power to play it with the Dimensity 8300, and it's my overall pick here. Bumping down just a little bit, we have a lot of competition at the 4 to 4.2 to 4 inch range. One of the ones that I really like that I've played recently, I said, is the ultimate Sega Saturn handheld, and that's the Ioneo Pocket S Mini. Again, you'll see that Ioneo appears in this list quite a bit, and while the company has tons of issues, I think little would be challenge to say they make some pretty awesome devices. It has a pretty good 4.2-inch screen, which some people have overemphasized the ghosting on, but for me, playing retro gaming, you're going to add some of that ghosting to it anyways. And so it is a beautiful screen that's in the pocket. It's got the mighty power of the G3 Gen 2, which allows you to play all kinds of stuff. There's nothing quite like popping it out and playing some Nintendo Wii. Nintendo Wii has a great catalog of Wii classics, as well as upscaled games that they put on their services that you can play through the Wii Mini Collection. It is a beautiful handheld, not to mention that it plays Sega Saturn beautifully. After the break, we'll take a look at the last set of handhelds and my favorite handhelds to date. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, AliExpress. They have a huge sale going on, the biggest of the year, the 328 sale. And we wanted to feature this product that they were kind enough to provide us, the Ken Hank Super Console X2 Pro. Sometimes you want to play on a TV and you don't want to use your little handheld. This is a perfect budget device. It comes with EmuElect 4.6 and Android 9 all-in-one. It also comes with more than 40,000 games on a 64 gig card or 60,000 games on a 256 gig card. It's running the Mali G31 GPU, which means it can play everything up through PS1 perfectly, as well as some N64, Dreamcast, and PSP. It also has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Make sure you check out the AliExpress sale at the link below, and if you want this product, check it out. We highly recommend it. Back to the show. Okay, rounding out comes the 3.5 to 4-inch category, a category we've covered a lot here because a lot of e-waste comes in that size. We've had everything from the R36S and its tons of clones, all the way up to what I'm picking as my overall favorite 3.5-inch handheld, and that is the Ioneo Pocket Micro Classic. Yes, the regular one is also great, but I prefer without sticks. This has a beautiful 3:2 aspect ratio screen that is perfect for Game Boy Advance. It looks simply gorgeous. I love it quite a bit. I almost went with the Ioneo Pocket Vert here because that also has a beautiful screen, the same one seen in the Analog Pocket, which was another contender here. But overall, I find the Ioneo Pocket Micro Classic to be the best. With the Helio G99, it does everything I could want it to do for that size. I don't really want to play really large PS2 GameCube games on it. I'm looking at GameCube and below. And with that screen at the high resolution and 3:2 aspect ratio, it's beautiful. But it also is a pretty good beast for Nintendo Wii. Again, much like the S Mini, this thing can play Nintendo Wii at a pretty good rate for the G99, giving it that nice, lovable look to it. Moving below to under 3.5 inches, this is where I went with the Trim UI Brick Hammer. Now, while the regular Trim UI Brick is still a great choice, the Trim UI Brick Hammer is a beautiful crafted handheld with a screen that is gorgeous, crisp, and gives you the best of pocketability for anywhere on the go. It's got a build quality that is superb and holds up over time, and it comes in some beautiful colors. It's exquisitely crafted, and you can tell that they took love to make this handheld. I love my Brick Hammer. It's my everyday carry in many instances, and it is a gorgeous handheld. Now, my final pick for under 3 inches came down to quite a few choices. The Miu Mini is, of course, one of the great ones. Anbernics has the RG280V, but ultimately I went with the Miu Mini Flip. It is probably my favorite new micro handheld. The GKD Pixel and Pixel 2 will always have a spot in my heart for the beautiful build quality in metal, but the Miu Mini Flip, with its ability to use Onion OS and just work out of the box, is beautiful, gorgeous, quick, and easy. So there you have it, guys. Those are my picks at every size for best handheld. please leave me a comment. I want to see what you guys think about it. What are your picks in these categories? What do you think are the best handhelds for each size? Let's get a healthy discussion going down there in the comments. And remember, AliExpress is having one of the biggest sales of the year. So hit the link down there so you can save some items on some of these handhelds as well as your favorites as well. Remember to hug your loved ones and love your loved ones because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.